All right, folks. It's your boy, Ted. Today, I am going to continue along with prototyping this game that I've been working on. So, I have been making a game called Rogue Deck Builder. It is a rogue-like deck builder that's endlessly playable. It's a bit of a tower defense game. It's a lot of things. It's also a play on words, as you'll see, because you're not really building a deck of cards. You're building a patio deck. I can give a brief recap of the work that I've done over the last week. So the main thing that I did over this past week is I added a few new things to the game, and I think the easiest way to show that is to go over the new artwork that was added. Okay. So this is my giant sprite sheet of artwork in the game. And I do a lot of different things in here. I kind of doodle in here. The tool is Sprite. I doodle a lot, but what I added was a hot tub. Okay, so you can put a hot tub on your deck. Now that's this graphic. So here's my kind of prototyping design process. I started with a basic shape of a hot tub, and then I eventually got to this like slightly more refined thing here. Right, and so then now hot tubs are in the game. A hot tub is something that you visit to cure the condition in the game, which is known as malding. That is where the neighbors destroy so much of your deck that you get so mad that you start to kind of like bald, and then eventually you mauled. And so the game doesn't really have a health meter per se, it has a malding meter. As you take damage, as parts of the deck get destroyed, you start malding, okay? So how does that work? What's the portrait look like? You've got this guy who starts out kind of looking pretty normal. I drew this as well. And he goes through these different phases of malding, right? So he kind of, a little bit of hair there, totally bald, and now he's like full on malding. That's kind of like the last stage. And so once you've like malded to death, that's it. So I added this concept of malding into the game. It was already in the game, but it was not well articulated, I could say. I used to use a health bar. So I had this heart here, heart container kind of graphic. Okay. So the malding system has become more refined, and now there is a new kind of single-use card, the hot tub. You can visit a hot tub to cure malding. So that's how that works. So if I go up to a hot tub, I can cure my malding. Okay. I added another card too, and this is the battery. So another thing in the game is that you get a certain amount of energy per turn. It's just an icon. It's just a resource that I invented, and all the key building actions are done through using energy. Okay. So I have this battery that I use, and batteries will grant me 1 energy per turn as long as I have them sitting on my deck. So I want to get a lot of batteries because then my ability to build kind of starts to accelerate. I can build more per turn, right? So batteries are a really important thing. I added that. The overall arc, why these things? Okay, well, because the game's got 3 different resources. It's got blue rocks, pink rocks, and red rocks. And those resources determine, hi Sammy, those resources determine what you can build in the game. Okay, so I had many buildings that could use the pink resource and the red resource, but not many that could use the blue resource. And so I wanted to put in some really important content that is associated with this blue resource, the blue rocks, so that it would feel more balanced overall, and it would feel like there are a variety of strategies that one could employ depending on the cards that they get. So overall, that's what I've been working on for the last week or so. So I added basically 3 new things, a few different systems, and I brought a little bit more life to some of the existing systems. So on this stream, I am going to play my own game, and I'm going to be critical of it. Okay? I'm going to talk about what I like and what I don't like, and just try to be objective about it, as objective as I can. I mean, it's the thing that I made, so I don't, how objective can I really be? But, you try to criticize your own work so that you can make it better. All right, so we're going to do that. So for those who are not aware, I actually did do my own game engine. I could build my game in like less than a second, and I can run it even faster. So it's going to go into full screen. I won't be able to see all your comments, but I promise that I will respond to the comments afterwards. So here we go. Rogue Deck Builder. This is my splash screen. This would not be appealing to anybody that's just beginning to play, but nevertheless, it's something, right? It's a starting point. I like to play on hard. There's the easy mode and the hard mode. Easy mode grants you 12 energy per turn. So the only real difference between easy mode and hard mode, it's not different in terms of how hard the enemies are or in any kind of complex, sophisticated manner. It is only more difficult based on, the only change is you get more energy per turn with easy mode versus hard mode. So I like to play hard because I like to see how the game works at its most constrained. And it gives me, I feel like it gives me more insights into how to play the game. But I will also play it on easy just to get a feel for what that's like for different players. Okay, so game loads instantly because there's really not much art assets. There's not really a lot of complicated logic going on. It's all written in C, so it's pretty fast. What do we have here? We have the world, which is randomly generated. We've got the player character on this deck here. So this is our starting deck. And we've got resources that we can acquire. If I build my deck around a resource, then I capture the resource. It gets incorporated into my deck, and then I can start gaining something per turn. This is my player portrait and my malding meter. So as the player takes more damage, he starts to mald more. So at that end of it, he's like totally full on malding, right? So we all know what that's like. We've all been malding at one occasion or another in our lives. Okay, we've also got these question marks. This is really familiar design type language in this genre of game. If you've ever played any kind of rogue-like deck builder, it's very common to run into these question mark or event markers. And the way that you resolve the event in this game is you just walk up to it, hit E. And in this case, in this game, each of those question marks is actually just a bonus that you acquire. So it can be a bonus resource. It can be some extra energy, some extra one of these. It's not cards or anything yet, so in the future, I think I'm going to maybe have some other stuff. Maybe some of these question marks will cure your malding. So that's another possibility. They really are just bonuses at this point. So something really simple just to kind of help with that strategy formulation, decision-making process. When I'm playing, I tend to prefer going straight for a card because cards really determine what you can do and they determine which resources you should go towards next. So there's a few different options there. One option is I could try and go for this card, and in the process of doing so, I could hit this bonus and that bonus. So the reason I will probably do that, I want to go for a slightly more aggressive starting play because the first few waves are actually pretty easy to defend. So if I'm more aggressive from the start, then I can capture more at the beginning, and then that makes it a lot easier to defend against enemy attacks. So there's that option. There's also the option of just getting this resource, which I'm tempted to do because resources will actually accumulate. It's a difficult question. It's gonna be one of those. It's not gonna be both. But the thing is, I can't really do much unless I have cards. I'm gonna go for the card. So I build out these post holes and these joists. It's very much just like building an actual deck in real life. Hence the hence the name Rogue Deck Builder, right? That's what you are. You're a rogue deck builder. You're gonna make that deck as big as you want to make it. And you know, to hell with the HOA and random Karens and city council and anybody that's stopping you from making your deck. This is your deck. You're going to do it your way. You're going to do you. Okay. What I want to do is just, it's going to be a lot easier to defend the deck. One thing I've noticed about this game, it gets to be much more difficult to defend the deck the further the post holes are away from the deck itself. So when I'm playing this game, and I've got my player character, right? He can only shoot so far and he can only shoot so fast. And that's actually really quite relevant to the discussion because it's going to be much more difficult to defend these far-flung post holes like this and this and this. That's actually stretching it. I might not be able to defend that far out because that's at the limit of the range of my shooting ability. We can see here. Yeah, just barely. So I can defend it, but it's like just barely. And look, we've got an angry neighbor there. He wants to destroy my post holes. He wants to destroy my deck. And he's like not having it. And it just, the thing too is it takes a while to get them. I don't want to, if he destroys that, I'm in trouble because then all of that work, the deck paneling collapses and I won't be able to just, okay, now I place a panel down. I'm going to get these resources. Okay, 3 red rocks. That's useful. Very useful. 4 blue rocks. Okay, this is starting to look good. What do we got for our cards? Yes. Okay. Allow me to explain these things. These are, so as stated previously, this game is a roguelike deck builder where you build a patio deck, but in order to build the patio deck, you use a deck of cards. So it's a roguelike deck builder, where the deck building affects the deck building. I have not yet made a more sophisticated version of this game where what I'm going to have pretty soon is like some text underneath each of these cards to explain more what it does and how it works. So you kind of have to trust me when I just give the explanation. I know what these are, right? But a better version of the game would explain to you what they are, and I'm going to put that in. So this is a fire rate width turret. So what that means is it's a turret that shoots faster when it's sitting on, its fire rate goes up as a function of the width of the deck panel that it's sitting on. That's what that is. This is a battery. A battery gives you one extra energy per turn. Okay, this is an area repair bay. So this is one of the more powerful cards in the game. It grants a number of repairs that is a function of the area of the deck panel that it's sitting on. So if I had a 2x2 deck panel that it sits on, it would grant me 4 repairs per turn. If I had a 9x9, you know, imagine just how many, that's 81 repairs per turn. Kind of an absurd amount of repairs per turn, more than any rational person would ever need, but that's kind of what that card does. Okay, so given that, I just picked up some red rocks, and I'm going to start expanding towards a red rock resource. I'm going to pick the FRW turret. So now I have 3 red rocks, right? And on the next turn, I will be able to build this thing. Where am I going to build it? Probably around on one of these deck panels. Much of my strategy is going to depend on how I play that. And I'm also going to place a repair bay here. I want to start getting some repair charges so that I can repair my deck. And then I'll end my turn. Now I got to defend this. My concern is this one right here because at least I can walk on that section of deck. It's going to be much more difficult. Okay. If they destroy this deck panel while I'm standing on it, then I die and I lose the game. So you can die from malding and you can die from a collapsed deck. So those are the two ways that you can die. And every time one of these post holes gets destroyed, your malding goes up. So you don't want to be malding. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to place this FRW turret. And now this is only 2 wide. So I'm going to start expanding more in this direction. But it's enough to give me like maybe a little bit of cover. That's kind of my hope. And then I can, okay, so I'm starting to run out of what I can do. I don't have many red resources, red rocks, but here we go. I now at least have a turret and I at least have a way to defend myself. This is hard mode and I promise I will play on easy mode next, just so that people, so see my turret, it starts shooting. Now, like, obviously a much better version of the game is going to have a lot of different variety of turrets. It's going to have many more variety of enemies and all that stuff. So for now, I'm really just, okay. And I've got, let's see, I can do 1 repair. So I'm going to do that. I think I like to repair the weakest. And then I'm going to place a post hole, maybe. The question is, do I want to get this event, right? Because maybe the event has something useful for me. Do I get the event before or after? Because I could expand all the way out there. I think I'm just going to get the event. It's playing safer, but yeah, we'll see. Again, this is hard mode. I can't really say exactly how well or poorly I'm going to do. I did a few other things to kind of like fix some bugs in the game too. Okay, this is starting to get hairy. Yeah, get off of my deck, miscreants. Get off my deck. Okay. No. Okay. So did you see that? That square filling in? That's my malding meter. So I've started to mald a little bit. But the portrait doesn't change until it starts to fill up all the way. So I've just got, the one kind of, the guy's malding a little bit, but not a lot. So I think it's really important that I finish this deck panel, so I'm going to do that. Do a joist. Oh, so close. Ugh. I'm just going to have to put a post hole out here so I can acquire that rock. All right, end turn. I'm not sure where these enemies are going to come from. We don't want to lose the deck panel that the turret is sitting on because that's really going to suck. That would be like a lot of work wasted. Notice how every single one of these... okay, here we go. I can repair now. I'm going to place the deck panel. I'm going to get my event. Hopefully... not useful. Sucks. So now it is like absolutely critical that I get this red rock or I'm just like going to die. I need to be able to place these FRW turrets or I'm just hosed. So I'm trying to get to a place where I have at least one of these resources captured. That's what I'm doing right now. Once I have the resource captured and then I'm actually getting the resource, It's going to be useful. No, 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 no. Hey. Okay. Did you see my portrait change? It's actually really funny to me because before this I didn't have the concept of malding in place. So it was not like codified into the I just had a health bar of some kind. And so it's just really funny to me to actually see the portrait of the guy start to get more and more bald and mad. I don't know what's so funny about that. Okay, but all of this has gotten destroyed, unfortunately. So I'm just in a really rough spot here. I don't know. It's gonna be tough. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna, if I lose too much of this deck, I'm gonna start malding to death. This is hard mode, so kind of what was I expecting? And the guys can come in so fast. That's kind of one thing I've noticed is like there's not really much like staggering to these waves, and that's a big problem with this game. It's really like crap. I lost my turret. All right, and I'm mauled. Do you see me mauled? Okay, so hopefully, which this hasn't been shown on stream yet, but like hopefully you can actually see now the portrait of the guy. Now he's like seriously malding, and too many of the neighbors destroyed the deck, and then you get this like too much deck destruction. Okay, so that's that. All right, so I'm going to answer some questions. Sammy Deluxe says, how long have you been working on this so far? Also, did you copy substantial parts of the engine from Moose Solutions to go from scratch again? So let's see. First question. I started this project, let's see, I had my heart surgery roughly on January 24th. So at the start of February, I was coming out of that, and then Moose Solutions had already been finished, it had been released, and I think I spent like 2 or 3 weeks putting it on the Steam Deck and doing a few other things like putting it on the Mac App Store. So that would have probably put us into March. So it would have been March, April, May, and now we're in June. So I would say I've been working on Rogue Deck Builder for 3 months now, in addition to all the other stuff I'm doing in my life. And I'll use the microphone because it's better. So about 3 months as a full-time person. And I did actually, so here's how I did it. I have my game engine so collect myself. I believe that a game engine is just leftovers. It's your leftover Thanksgiving dinner, okay? So all I did is I took the code that was left over from Moose Solutions, and then I just scraped out the content. So I literally copied it. I copied the whole game into another folder, and then I set up a GitHub repo for it, and then I scraped out the content of that folder, okay? And I scraped out all the game-specific stuff, things that were specific to Moose Solutions. And what I had left over was something that could display 2D pixel art graphics, something that had a Mac OS platform layer and a Windows platform layer, so I could run it on Mac OS or Windows, wouldn't matter either way. And then it could do sound as well. Basically all of the quote-unquote engine capabilities from Moose Solutions. I just scraped the content out and started over with a blank canvas, right? And actually, if you look at some of the indie creators who I admire and respect the most, Jonathan Blow being pretty high among those folks, that's what he did with Braid as well. So he had a number of previous game projects that he was working on. When he started Braid, I think he actually took like a 3D game engine, or just like the leftover code from a 3D game. And then he scraped out all the content again, and then just started using that for Braid. So I thought that was a cool thing to do, and I did the same. So another comment. Personally, I would be worried about the balancing of the game. Is that because I don't play any rogue deck building games, or do you think it is going to be a challenge as well? Yeah, so this is a very new territory for me to enter into. I am, of course, my first few games have been puzzle games. My first actual commercial game is a puzzle game. And this is my first experience with what I would call the necessity of balancing a game. It's not something that I'm particularly used to. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly that is. And a lot of how I'm guiding my decisions are pretty much intuition. And so a lot of what I'll do is I'll play the game and I'll be like, okay, it feels like I need this thing, or it feels, if there's sometimes where I feel like there's something that I want. One example would be I did a recent playthrough where I was like, I felt like I wanted some ability to get more energy per turn. And so then I was like, okay, what's something I could put in the game that would give me that? Or I'll be playing the game and I'll be like, okay, I have this malding meter. And the malding meter was actually put in as a solution to a problem in the game because I didn't want the player to be able to spam post holes all around the map. I wanted it so that because those could work as basically a defensive bulwark. If you just spam post holes all around the map and then enemies come up and they attack it, then the post holes are cheap, right? So you could just put those up as a defense instead of actually building the deck. And I wanted the player to focus on building the deck. So I put in this malding meter system where every time a post hole gets destroyed, then the player starts to mald a little bit more and more. And then so keeping the deck alive is actually important for your player's mental health. It's important for his sanity. If the deck starts to get too destroyed, then the player starts to go insane. And that turns out to be kind of funny, I think. But it also has this quality of solving an actual problem in the game. So I guess what I would say, my thoughts on balance are, a lot of the things that I don't know that balance is the word that I like to use, actually. I think I like to consider new things that I could add to the game that would solve problems with the game. And in so doing, it changes, the consequence of that is that it changes the balance of the game in a way that I think is better. I hope that's a good answer. It's probably not, but that's what I'm thinking. Oh, and also another comment, not bad for 3 months. Thank you. This is like kind of the point I've been trying to get across to a lot of other people who are making games themselves. You really have to drive towards a core idea and act like something that's a full design. And you have to make games, not game engines. You have to be focused on gameplay. And that means that there's a lot of things you're not going to do at a very detailed level. You're not going to do sound and graphics at a very detailed level. You're going to do it just enough to get an idea across. All the other systems in the game, you're not going to do at a very finely detailed level. You're not going to handle all the possible things that could happen in the collision system. You're going to do enough to make it playable. And it might even have a few bugs, and you're just going to say that's okay. So there's a lot of things that you're going to have to say. You're going to have to be okay with it in the early stage, or you have to really develop this instinct of when to take something that might be a concern later and just set it to the side so that you can focus on the game design. That's how you can prototype a game so quickly. That's how you do it. I'm going to play through the easy mode now. Last question, will we see more essay style videos? Yes. Oh, thanks. I'm glad that you like them. I will have, if you go on twitch.tv/Bendixo, you will see my content lineup for the coming week. And I'm going to do actually a lot of these. It might be that that's the common modality of what I talk about. At this stage, it's not really all that formal. a lot of the things I'm doing, it's kind of like, oh, that would be cool if I read that article on stream, or oh, I've always wanted to talk about this. So a lot of the things that I do, it's a little bit spur of the moment, but I will make more of an effort to plan out a full week of content and topical streams, because I think people really like that. So I'm going to keep doing that. All right, some more gameplay. All right, so as stated previously, the only difference between easy mode and hard mode is that easy mode gives you more energy per turn. So there's just more that you can build. Okay, here we go. I got my guy here. I can already tell that based on the random generation, this is going to be kind of hard. The reasons are there's not many cards that are nearby. So even though it is easy mode, the random generation kind of screwed me on this one. I'm going to have a difficult time just getting to a card. Cards, of course, are absolutely critical in this game. There's a lot more pink in this direction. There's a lot more red in this direction. One thing that's true about the design language of this game is that red is more associated with the width of the panel. So if I hit this button, these are 1x1 panels. So if I go for the red resource, that's probably more likely, although this pink down here, this is tough. I'm not going to lie, it's difficult. But I have a theory for how I'm going to accomplish this. I want to have some wide panels. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get out as far as I can in this direction. Grab the card, grab the resource, and end up with a wide panel as a consequence. So I'm going to go that far. Okay, and now I've got to defend this. The challenge, of course, is my gun only shoots so far, right? So that's going to be difficult. But I only have to, I think on the first wave, I only have to kill 3 enemies. I think at some point I'm going to change this. One thing I'm noticing is that as you get further along in the game, the waves of enemies get to be just absurd. And maybe I want that, maybe I don't, but it feels like, gosh, there's like so many enemies coming at the deck. And they come at the deck from all these directions all these different directions at the same time. It's really hard to stop them. Okay, I can buy a deck panel. So now I've got a wider panel. It's really going to come down to what's in this card. So, here we go. I want to get that card. And now I've got to just defend this. Some guys are going to come. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, and I'm gonna get this. Okay, this is the key moment. Oh crap. Well, folks, I'm in trouble here. I'm gonna get the hot tub because I can't use the others. I need a much better turret card, or I need some better cards. So I'm really kind of screwed on that. So the question is, how do I get to better cards? What can I do? What direction can I go? I could try go out here to get better cards. Oh, this is going to be tough. maybe I can get an event on the way to that card. What did I even, I didn't get an event. Okay. Oh, and I don't have any. This playthrough, supposedly on easy mode, is not easy at all. Yeah, it's definitely not easy. I was hoping I could maybe get a card or something. Maybe if events were like grant a card, that might help a lot. Because then you could, yeah, I'm just not sure. I'm also getting to a point where I can't take too many risks. I'm going to try and do a turret and a repair bay. I'm going to place those, and then I'm going to spend my remaining post holes just trying to get a card. I'm just going to see if I can just turret the heck out of this deck, and if that helps me out. Now, these turrets are not going to be the most powerful. They're going to be pretty limited, but at least it's a new strategy that I don't usually play. I don't usually play the regular turrets, so it's going to be kind of interesting to me because I find the regular turrets to be kind of weak. But this is easy mode, right? So I have easy mode, which means that I have more of an ability to like repair my deck. So I'm going to try and take advantage of some of these things. I'm going to, again, place a turret near a damaged section, and then I'm going to place a repair bay again. And I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to see if I can cover my deck with stuff. And realize anytime something gets destroyed, you start malding. So that's really important. So yeah, they're destroying parts of my deck there. It's getting difficult. The thing is, I don't even really care about that part of the deck because I went there and I got the card, and the card was not, I mean, it's a hot tub. It's a good card. It's just not as good as I was hoping. I wanted like a better turret kind of thing. The turrets were like just too advanced. So this might be another piece of feedback for myself. It might be the case that maybe the way the game works is depending on the amount of times you've done card pickups, right? Here's the problem with that last card pickup. My understanding of it. I had 3 choices of cards, okay? Now the game has, over time the game's going to have kind of like low skill or like the easy, like low level kind of stuff, beginner things. And then towards the end, it's going to start kind of ramping up in terms of the difficulty or the skill or how many resources are needed for that thing. So I was presented very early on with a number of cards that I would definitely categorize as advanced. They were almost like just too advanced for what they should be. And that meant that there wasn't space for 2 other choices which would have been more appropriate in the early game. So maybe it's something like as you progress through the game, you get, like let's say that I've already picked up 10 cards or 5 cards or some number of cards. Towards the end of the game, based on the number of cards that you've picked or some other factor that depends on your advancement through the game, you start getting more advanced cards then. So that could be a design problem I'm facing right now is the game seems really difficult because you're given all these like bad card choices early on when you should be given much better ones that are more appropriate to the beginning of the game. So that's my fault. It's a flaw in the game, but I'm playing anyway just to keep seeing what other problems I think might need fixing. So I've got some energy. Again, I'm going to do the things I've been doing. I'm going to do another turret, and I'm gonna play another repair bay because I can. I'll actually do a joist here, and then I'm gonna do a deck panel here, so it makes it a little bit easier to defend that. And now I'm out of energy again. It's just gonna keep getting harder from here, so we'll see. It's kind of funny, for easy mode, it's definitely not easy, but that's okay, because we're just trying to like learn, figure out what's wrong with this game, or what do we like, what do we not like. I can actually handle a great amount as the player himself, which is funny. Surprising in a lot of ways. Okay, so again, don't have too many things I can do to repair, but I'm going to continue along with this tradition of doing the turret and the repair bay, playing those cards, and then just seeing if I can kind of inch my way forward here. I don't know. I have not actually tried a strategy like this, so I'm genuinely curious if it works or not. I think the game needs like the regular turrets, and on easy mode, when you get more energy like that, maybe there's like certain players or like play styles, things you can do where you get, okay, so I've started malding a little bit. What I love too about this malding thing is it's like, yes, you're malding in the game, but you're also kind of malding in real life. You're just malding, man. That's how that works. All right, so I'm gonna place another turret here and then another repair bay. At some point, I'm going to actually have to figure out the lore of this game that makes repair bays and turrets actually make sense. It does not make any sense, but it's fun. Okay, so I really am just covering my deck with as many structures as I can. Thankfully, I can still move around. I'm going to change the collision rules a little bit on that because I think it's still just a little bit too tight of a collision here, but that's sort of for a later day. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 no. Oh. Now I can't get there. Oh no. Do you see me malding? Just like... This is so stupid. Okay. This has not turned out at all how I hoped. This is awful. It's brutal. Yes. I'm playing Rogue Deck Builder.
Are you on video?
What's that?
Are you on video?
Yes, I am. My partner isn't here. All right, here we go. Some guys are coming. This is just, I mean, I've retreated from the position that I held. I think I'm probably going to die from malding in this game, I'm guessing. Because it's just so many guys coming at me too much at the same time, and I don't have like a good defense. Yeah, okay. Too much deck destruction, you are malding. Press R to try again. That's that. Okay. I'm going to answer some more questions. So, holding the mouse button for firing might be helpful. Also, to put all the mental energy on targeting, no, not clicking. Also, auto firing seems to be cool with kids these days. See all the vampires. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's a good consideration because you do have to click a lot in order to get any kind of speed. I think at some point I'm going to have some kind of like player fire speed improvement or something like that, so that the gun. I want you to also be able to level up the player character. That really feels like something that I think the player would find satisfying in a game like this. So that will be a thing. Like maybe the player, I don't know. Armor doesn't seem quite right, but I just want some other ways for you to improve what the player can do. Regarding randomness of cards, but applies to anything, I am a big procedural content fan, but one thing I've learned so far is the more quote unquote knowledge that can flow into the generator, the easier it is to produce output that lands in an interesting place. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Um, I think the world generation is going to need quite a bit more work because I'm noticing that from one playthrough to the next, there's quite a few problems. I can easily have a playthrough that just due to the random number generation, I get the right stuff early on, and I can sort of lever myself up into a state where I can, maintain some kind of position. I had one playthrough last night where it was like that. But I'm also noticing that the dominant modality of playthroughs has been that of just being screwed on the, you're just screwed based on the early stuff, and there's really no way for you to. I'm noticing that is more common in my playthroughs than not, and so I'm going to have to make some changes, I think, so that even like, easy mode should feel easy. It shouldn't feel like you're being punished so much. Right now, easy mode just feels like so punishing. And occasionally you'll get a good dice roll. So it really still feels like it's dependent on the dice rolls that you get and not so much on your ability to play the game. And I don't like that. So, last question. Again, is there a goal in the game, or is the player just waiting until chaos takes over? So what I'd like to do is build out enough of the game so that you can get to the goal. What I want is for you to build your deck to some place. So one thought that I had was similarly to how you have to build the deck around a resource in order to incorporate the resource into your deck and then start to get bonuses. You could, for example, so one storyline I had in mind was the reason that you're building the deck is because you're really mad at City Council because they passed a resolution limiting the size of decks. And so maybe what you do is you build the deck all the way up to City Council and you capture City Council and incorporate the City Council into your deck, and now you make the rules. Stupid idea, but one simple thing would be there's some flag out there, some goalpost somewhere on the map, and you're given hints as to how to get there. And then so you start kind of building your deck in that direction, and then it of course gets harder and harder and harder, and you face various enemies along the way. And then you eventually get to that goalpost and incorporate it into your deck, and then that's how you win. So I think it would actually make a lot of sense to have an ending. I like that idea. But I need to build up more of the game to get there. So another comment. I just re-roll for good RNG. Yeah, I do that a lot in a lot of games too. I think I'm sure that the more advanced players will also do that. But I want the game to feel fair even if you don't get a great roll. So I don't want it to be like it is now where it's just you get a lot of bad rolls and then occasionally you get a good roll. I want it to be more like you get, like Slipways, for example, I feel is kind of like this. It's a very heavy RNG based game, and I like that game a lot. There's a lot of sort of middle of the road rolls that you can get, but it's like you could still play the game. I feel like this right now is due to a number of other balance issues, not just the RNG, but also the cards that you get early on in the game, the thing I talked about earlier. You can end up in a lot of situations where it's impossible for you to get yourself off the ground. And I don't like that. So I want to kind of like buttress that. I want to figure out some ways to make that not feel quite so harsh. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Any other questions? Well, this has been an absolute blast, and have a good weekend. See you next time.